Do autistic people get drained by things the rest of us barely even notice? Yes. Not because they're overreacting, but because their brains are doing way more work than many allistic people realize. It's just all happening behind the scenes. And as someone who lives with a late diagnosed autistic spouse, who I love very much, here's what I promise you. These tiny moments matter. A lot. Today we'll look at 5 of the biggest ones in a way that'll help you actually understand what's happening under the surface. If you're autistic, see which ones hit home. And after you're done watching, we've got a free quick quiz to help you recognize your own hidden sources of fatigue. Links in the description. And if you're here as a friend or a loved one, let's see what's new or familiar for you. Because I know from experience, there's a lot more happening than you probably realize. Let's dive in. Multiple people talking at once. Autistic brains often process sound differently. The autistic sensory experience is often different from allistic people too. Filtering is harder. Tracking conversations and knowing when it's okay to jump in is harder. Switching focus is harder. So you'd think it would be obvious if someone got tired quickly in larger conversations. I mean, when you're with a group of people and the conversation is flowing, people are talking, cutting each other off sometimes, and maybe you're in a restaurant or cafe, so there's also some background noise. But no, it's actually not that obvious. For me and Chris, he learned how to mask really well growing up, so he's figured out a lot of his own systems. And those systems aren't unique to him. I have several other neurodivergent colleagues and friends who also have systems for many situations like this. Anyways, for Chris, he does one of 3 things. The first is he zones out a bit and takes mental breaks. It's like he's mentally detaching from the situation. He's looking around, probably planning his escape. But I've learned that it's hard, especially if 2 or 3 people start talking over each other. And if we're out in public, that doesn't even mean we're the ones talking over each other. A conversation from across a cafe, that's also registering too, just like the people that are sitting with us. If we're in a restaurant, it's even more. The clanging of dishes, chairs scraping, beeping sounds at the register. That's when Chris basically stops being able to process anything. He'll kind of get a glazed over look or he zones out. His brain is trying to decode every voice and every sound at a level similar to the one he's trying to focus on, me. So it's not time for a discussion. Sometimes he needs a mental break. He's drained, and there's no automatic filter like I might have. So in group settings, he might actually look like he's zoning out. Or especially when he thinks he has the energy, he takes the opposite approach and just dominates the conversation. And I say he thinks he has the energy because it might look that way until he crashes later. But why dominate the conversation? Because sometimes it's easier to steer where things go rather than to deal with a bunch of people talking over each other and changing topics every minute. It's pretty sneaky to mask what's happening, and it also got me for a few years. And the third approach, he leaves. Not in a rude way, but to go take a break. This is actually pretty new since we learned he's autistic. But if it's too much, he takes a break. Goes outside for a few minutes, puts in loops, or just has a quieter space, especially if we need to do something later. Because all that takes a ton of energy. And before, when he was masking all that was happening in his brain, sometimes that showed up as crankiness. But it wasn't simple irritability. It was more complicated than I realized. So for me, as someone who's not autistic, when Chris used to say a place was too noisy, and I looked around and saw like 3 people and the staff, I didn't get it. But now, I've learned that those layered sounds and background noises aren't really in the background for a lot of autistic people who might process sounds differently. Unexpected contact. A lot of people, even allistic people, don't like unexpected physical touch. But that's not all that I've noticed when I say unexpected contact. That's part of it, but what I actually mean is unexpected interactions. For Chris, things like the doorbell, a phone call, those are pretty straightforward. But also, someone walking into the kitchen when he thought he had it all to himself. Or someone suddenly approaching him with a question when he didn't expect it, like at a store or on the street. And sure, he can respond, usually, but it jolts him. It's like he's in his own world and his brain has to shift into high alert instantly, even if it's something small, even if it's me. So anyone coming in that wasn't part of the scene he had pre-planned in his head seems like an interruption. That's probably why a lot of the autistic students I've worked with can get really emotional when someone comes into their personal bubble, as we called it. Not because the other person bumped them or anything else, but because that bubble helps create a buffer between them and the world. So this can be hard for people who live in the same space to even start to understand. It's taken me a while too. I've walked into a room before and watched him tense up, not because he doesn't necessarily want to see me, but at the unexpectedness of my appearance. Probably also that he thinks a conversation is coming that he wasn't expecting. Those little interruptions to the internal plan or flow can be challenging for a lot of autistic people. And for Chris, his nervous system reacts before he even has time to realize it's not an intruder. It's just me. But by then, he's already jolted out of his thoughts. And that's part of why interruptions can be really tricky for many autistic people and really, really exhaust them. Decision-making under pressure. Decision-making can be hard for anyone, but for autistic and ADHD people who often struggle with executive functioning, it can be even harder. And I'm not talking major life decisions. Things like what you want to eat for dinner, what to wear tomorrow when it might rain but it also might be hot, or whether you can handle a haircut and grocery shopping in the same day, or the same week. Executive functioning includes prioritizing, planning, cognitive flexibility, and using your working memory. So at decision-making, this means being able to take new information in, process it, remember the options, weigh all the pros and cons and other parts of every option, and then make a decision, while also predicting outcomes. We do this all the time, constantly, and most of us don't think much at all about what's involved because it's pretty automatic. But for many neurodivergent people, this takes more time, sometimes hours, or days. That's because there's so much happening inside their brains and processing speeds might be different. Many autistic people need time to think, not just a couple seconds before someone rushes in to offer more options, which will just start the process again and interrupt the thinking they were already doing. And when there's a decision to make under pressure, that processing can get even harder. So if you're autistic and anything like Chris, when it feels like there's pressure, you might get stuck or feel like your head is in a vice. It can show up as frustration or irritability, but it's actually overwhelm. The pressure to respond or make decisions at the speed a lot of people expect these days, that's challenging for a lot of autistic adults. So we're all making hundreds of small decisions every single day. It's really, really draining for many autistic people. But patience can go a long way for everyone on this. So just giving the autistic person time without too much pressure and without jumping in and making assumptions about why they aren't responding quickly, that can really help in not making this feel stressful and exhausting for autistic people. And if you're autistic, we have other videos about how you can reduce this decision fatigue. We'll add those in the description. Unclear instructions or vague communication.
Just do your best to get it done.
Use good judgment.
Whatever you think is fine.
These phrases might sound nice and friendly, but they're vague, unclear, and stressful for many autistic brains because they mean nothing and everything at the same time. They're packed with subjective meanings and are clear paths to miscommunication. Autistic communication tends to be straightforward, direct, and concise, usually without much hidden meaning. So when you give a vague instruction, it triggers confusion.
What does she actually want? Is there a right answer she's looking for but isn't saying? What does done even mean here?
Clear communication can reduce cognitive load. It helps brains understand and move forward, rather than getting stuck in thought loops or worrying about what people really mean. But a lot of people don't really think about what they're saying or how it gets interpreted by others, especially neurodivergent people. So when I say, sure, whatever you think will be fine, I've learned that our definitions of fine will often be really different. And all that extra thinking, especially when communication is already challenging for autistic people, burns energy fast. Waiting in uncertainty. Uncertainty is really draining for a lot of autistic individuals. So waiting for things isn't about the waiting itself, it's about the lack of clarity and uncertainty. Remember that autism is defined by wanting structure to the point where diagnostic criteria describes it as restrictive and wanting sameness. But that's not being inflexible. It's about wanting to create an environment that doesn't keep your nervous system constantly on high alert.
So we're shutting it down right now.
So whenever possible, giving information helps. You might not need it, but many autistic people will really appreciate it. Like being clear on what it means when you say something's happening soon. Is that 5 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour from now? The other part of this is time blindness, the challenges of gauging how long things will take, like getting to the spot you need to be. That's challenging for a lot of neurodivergent people. It can lead to sitting all day, checking the clock when you have an appointment at 2 p.m. I've actually seen that more than once with Chris. Or asking a lot of extra questions. If you know someone autistic and this is them, try to help them plan ahead. Having a clear plan and knowing what to expect can help make this less tiring. And then, less shutdowns. It's a bit of extra predictability that helps autistic people stay regulated and drains their energy a whole lot less. So which of these did you recognize? What else strains your autistic brain in ways that no one else sees? Be sure to grab the quiz to see which one lines up for you. And if you're allistic like me, hopefully this can help you understand the neurodivergent people in your life a little bit better, so you can support them, not accidentally overwhelm them. Trust me, I've been there, but it can improve a lot with patience and understanding. And to keep learning about the autistic experience, watch this video next.
Jay!
I'm done. I'm fine. We're fine. Jesus.
Oh, I'm so I'm gonna go outside real quick. Take a break.